Hi, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. This is Monday, July 30th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And really what we had was a trading range for today. And we actually had the highs up here. You can see the double top from Friday when prices finally found some strong resistance, and that turned out to create a broader double top this morning. And we broke above that and failed, and then basically traded off down and tested the low side. And so we ended up in this trading range with most of the afternoon being stuck in this probably 3 to 4 point trading range right here. So there wasn't much happening, but there was a nice trend up in the morning and a nice sell-off in the afternoon. Hopefully you were able to get some. Let's talk about the first trade. Let me back out here. But you can actually see that range that's pretty much left over from Friday is what it is. And that was the lows of Friday afternoon to the highs of Friday afternoon. And that pretty much held price action today, other than this failed break higher, which really all that was a trap today. Everybody had gotten accustomed to the thing breaking higher and going higher, and they sucked everybody in, you can see, and people thought that the same thing was going to happen today. And then all of a sudden, boom, they sold it off, they trapped everybody, and that was the quick move down. And we had this trend line, looked like it was going to be a trend line. It didn't turn out really to be much of a trend. It was really just a trading range with a failed break higher. And so you might have even drawn this trend line like this, and you see it got a little bounce right there. I had mine drawn like this right here, and we got that bounce, and it was a tradable bounce. I actually traded this to the long side and got a bounce right here, and I actually exited my long. I took this long here, but I'll explain that in a little bit. But I exited right here, wishing I hadn't have now, because all it did was turn out to be a temporary bounce, and then we went lower. But I probably made on the bounce what I would have got on a couple of runners down to the low end anyway. So it all works out. But let's talk about the trades and show you what I saw today. This is a breakout pullback, second entry long right here. But we also had a double bottom, kind of a triple bottom, with that one little tick lower that trapped everybody to the short side. And then there we were off. And you got to be thinking, even though there's resistance right here, you got to be thinking, this is probably where we're going. This is the major resistance. And so there's a strong chance that's where we're going to go. And that's exactly where we went. And we found resistance and then broke higher for one more push higher. But really, I guarantee you all this was the big guys running prices higher so they could short and ride this thing down today. And that's exactly what happened. And then so you got to be thinking on the way back down, yeah, we may bounce at all these places, but here's going to be the strong resistance, or the strong support down here at the overnight lows, and from the last of the lows from here to here on Friday. And if you notice, that's where all the bouncing happened all day long, right along in that area where the lows were from Friday, right across here. And that's where all the bounces occurred. And somebody actually was looking for a bounce in this area right here that texted me today. And yeah, there's support there, but let me just show you this. When prices bounce early like this and then turn back down, that's not a good sign, because what happens is if the guys that were long here are trying to get long right in this area that didn't get filled, now the prices are not in extreme. They're getting a fresh start off the EMA. So what they do is they decide, oops, it bounced too early. I missed that one. So let's drop all our orders down here and look to get long down here. And so suddenly when prices come back through there, they fall through there like a rocket, no bounce at all. And that doesn't always happen, but that is a very common thing, because that's exactly what I did. I looked to exit my trades in here and exited, and then looked to get short up here again. And where normally I originally was looking to get long right in here, but when prices bounced early, that scared me, thinking that maybe, hey, maybe this trend line is going to hold and turn out to be the trend for the day. So I got out of there, and that's what happens. Traders change their mind because they saw it bounce early, and then when it's coming down here again, there's not as many buy orders, resting buy orders hiding down here again. Everybody's pulled them, everybody's moved them. They either got sucked in long, or they've decided, hey, I'm going to wait and try to buy down here instead of buying here, because, hey, this may be one leg, and we're going to get a second leg. And let me show you this. Here's leg one, And so you got to be thinking leg 2. And look what we got, almost to the tick. And you can see nothing closed down in there. So you should have been thinking that if prices go lower, we're testing this support area, and this is the more important support than this right here. So that's what I was looking at. Like I said, I actually exited my shorts right here and reversed, but all they were good for was a scalp because we turned right back down again. And so then you're thinking, let's get short again and ride this on down to the next support area. And so you got to keep in mind, you can't, just because, anytime you see, I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm losing my train of thought here. I'm getting ahead of myself and thinking about too many things I want to say. But the main thing I want to say is anytime you got a strong support, which this was, and prices bounce early, then you got to be thinking, hey, if they turn back down again, I probably don't want to be thinking about this as a strong support area. Even though there's a strong chance they could bounce again, the odds are not as good now that we've already bounced earlier, because that changes the minds of a lot of traders. And you can see there were probably a lot of them thinking, let's get long down here. And when we bounced early right in here, they changed their minds, and they're probably either moving the order. And you can see what happened this time when we came back down. They didn't keep going lower. They still bounced, and they bounced here again. So you never know what's going to happen. But if you do see prices bounce early like this, you got to be thinking, hey, either support is stronger than I thought, or we just bounced early and we're going to get another leg down or something. So, anytime I see prices bounce early like that, I pull my next set of orders if I'm thinking about buying this area, especially if I'm thinking about buying it blindly. I'm going to wait and get a setup there like we did down here before I buy, just in case it keeps going lower. Because look, from right here down, prices are all below the EMA. We got this trend line working down through here, and it's holding. It's confirmed it right here, and there's a good chance that, hey, we're going to break above it and make a new leg down, and that's what happened. So we broke the trend line right here. We made a new leg down, and before we found the low, and even then we still didn't rally out of there. We just we just went to a trading range, and that's not uncommon either. But we didn't go lower for the rest of the day. So that's good enough to be considered, a correction. And now we could even go lower. We might make another leg like this off of this over here. So you just got to be aware of that. But let's go back and talk about the trades. We had a little double bottom right here. We had this failed break lower. This is a breakout pullback long. It's a second entry long. Here's your first entry. We pulled back, and notice there's a failed second entry short there too. So there's probably a lot of trap shorts that were thinking we were probably coming back down to test this trend line right in here, or maybe even back down to test the slow, and it reversed. So that's a great place, but you got to be thinking, hey, we only got to right here on this resistance, and we got another one right here that's stronger. So there's a good chance we could go test that, and that's exactly what happened. And then we went higher, and there was a long right here, but boy, I wasn't about to take that long. There's too many overlapping bars, too many dojis. And the fact that Friday we kept breaking higher and going much higher, I was thinking trap the whole way. And while this shot higher, it had me still trying to think, hey, I bet we could be going higher, because that's what happened Thursday and Friday. I forced myself when we made this little overlap way away from the EMA and broke higher and then got that little reversal bar. I forced myself to enter short there, and boy, I'm glad I did. Because then I was able to ride this. I should have ridden this all the way down, but I let myself talk, my mind talked me into exiting here. And again, it probably worked out because I only had a couple of runners on here where I went back in with 10 contracts and probably made more on the scalp than I would have on 2 contracts coming the rest of the way down. But it's a whole lot less risky to ride those 2 contracts down for 5 points than it is to add 10 more right here, because my entry was way up here on those other contracts, and it's right here on these. So it's just more risky. It worked fine, and I came out okay. But boy, it would have been a lot easier just to keep riding those runners down. And so even myself, my mind plays tricks on me and causes me to make mistakes, and that was a mistake exiting right there. And I won't necessarily say it's a bad mistake. Sometimes it's better to be to take on less risk and to be, the words are not coming to me. You're better off to take the low risk play than to risk giving your money back, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I played the low risk and didn't want to risk this, reversing and going higher, because there's a good chance that could have happened. But we don't really know that, and I'll get that question. How do you know it's going to reverse it? Well, you don't. You just have to watch the price action and play it. But there was support all across here, and we broke lower, and we're likely to test it, so we pulled back up there and tested it, and that was another reason I exited. The trend line, the fact that we're going to come back and test it, and it held, and we went lower. And then you got to be thinking, hey, this was probably one leg. Where's the next leg measured down to? And it's to right here, right where these lows are across here from Friday and the overnight. And lo and behold, where did we bounce? Right there. It was pretty easy to see. And so anyway, this was a great short, and you had a second entry short here. Again, you tried to go higher, bounce off that, and it reversed with a great reversal bar. So you figure you're probably going to come back down here and test this, and maybe even go lower to where the trend line is. And so this is a worthwhile trade. And there was actually another entry right here, but this one was a little risky because there's all this overlap. There was support right across here, and so I didn't like this one, but it turned out to be another great short. And since I already had two shorts and runners off of runners going as well, I wasn't willing to enter any more yet, because I already had several shorts going. And so I exited them all on this reversal right here, and then I looked to get short again. And this is a two-legged pullback to the EMA. The trend line had pretty much been confirmed a couple of times right there, so this is another great short, and it was fairly off to the races. And you should have been thinking, hey, I might want to exit down here. We've been away from the EMA a long, long time. There's strong support. And I actually exited here and put on longs. When we made this low right here and turned up and then turned back down, I was expecting that prices would probably break lower right there and reverse and pull back, just like they did up here. And so I exited my shorts, and I actually went blind with my longs right there and rode that back up. There was not another good entry unless you bought it blindly, but it's really risky to buy it blindly the second time without a better bounce than that right there. And so, but when we made this trap right here, there was a great long right here. And this is a failed second entry long after a two-legged pullback to the EMA in a downtrend. And that, that a lot of traders got trapped short right there that weren't paying attention to this support area over here. And sure enough, prices, they trapped everybody and reversed it and ran it higher. And then, of course, you had a two-legged move up, and that's to test this breakout area here. So you figure you're going to get a nice correction right here. So that's a great place to go short. It's a second entry short. Here's your first entry, then pull back in second entry. Now, this is on a bigger level, but you got to be aware of that. And then we made a double top here, so that's another great short. And then you got to be thinking, yeah, we're in a trading range here. There wasn't really a great place to enter right here, and it's too late in the day. It's 2:30, so I didn't mark this long or this short because there's a lot of overlap down here, and the overall trend was more of a bias from downside since 9:30 this morning. So you really should have been thinking more shorts than longs, and I really kept thinking we'd get a trap, which we did right here. So if you were on the ball and you put a blind sell order right there, that was a good place because that's the easy scalp then. But otherwise, not worth entering here, and it was really kind of late in the day as well. So, and that was pretty much it for the day, but hopefully you can see that trading range, and you always got to be aware of where the ranges were from the day before. And it's true, we did have a range right across here, 1379 area, and you could see we hesitated there before we broke a little bit lower, but the real resistance was down here from the overnight, and it really ended up right in that area right there, and that turned out to pretty much hold prices the rest of the day. So and again, you had these highs, you had this double top from Friday, and then we stopped right there at the end of the day. So you got to be thinking that's strong resistance. And on this break higher, sure, we could have gone higher, but prices usually pull back and test here, and we went straight through that with no pullback, not even a little bar, pulling back and testing that. So that's not a good sign, especially when you hesitate real quickly and turn up, and this one doesn't go nearly as far. So with that little reversal bar, you figure it's almost a sure thing to back down to here and maybe even back to the EMA, because we're coming back to test this area at some point. And this was just a great, and the real reason I like this one is because I'm thinking, hey, Thursday and Friday, you know, every time it broke higher, it took off, especially Friday. So I bet you the weak traders are going to be thinking, hey, we're going to take off again. And they all got sucked in, and then it was downhill from there. So, and that may be all the downhill we get. Excuse me, I'm still struggling a little bit with a cough, and I get to talking a lot. And this has been the dangest summer cold that I brought back from Brazil, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So I really struggled to get rid of this thing, and I'll get better for a few days. And I think it's going from the heat to the air conditioning. I mean, we have been in a heat wave down here in the south. If you live down here, I don't have to explain it to you. But it's 100 degrees outside, about 90% humidity, and you walk outside and 5 minutes you're wringing wet, and you come back in the ice cold air conditioning. And I believe that has played a part in me not being able to get rid of this cough. So but anyway, didn't mean to change the subject on you there, but I have to pause every now and then and clear my throat, and I apologize for that. So but anyway, hope you had a good trading day. Hopefully this if you didn't during the day, hopefully it makes sense to you now. You know, the market just doesn't go up forever or go down forever. Generally, when you get some moves like we had Thursday and Friday, the market's going to take a rest, and then we're going to have a trading range day or maybe even a sell-off before it reverses again. And there may be some more uptime coming. I don't know, but I actually placed put a new article on the website today talking about how commodities can affect the indexes, particularly the dollar index. So if you get a chance, go read that. I think it's important stuff that maybe will shed another clue on price action in the markets for you. But I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.